wasteland. He's bad, he's beautiful, he's crazy.
Hello, everybody. This is Paul Charsley, the International.
Hey, welcome back inside the Park for May. This is Todd, of course. The reason we have Paul on here is because in a few short hours, we're going to have the Grand Prix of Long Beach. And, all the fun track walk starts and all the prep and everything on Thursday. You got practice and qualifying on Friday and then the race on Saturday. And so we thought it would be good to come in and hit Paul with 10 questions that are fun questions. I know, Paul.
Sagittarius.
E equals MC squared.
Indian food.
Yeah. Right. So we thought we'd come in and ask him 10 hot seat questions about the race this weekend. But before we get into the questions, which should be fun, I want to pull back. I was bragging that Grace and I have our own personal Charsley, and everybody should have their own personal Charsley. And I was bragging about that. But I wanted to talk about first, just for those that don't know, you are the sporting manager for the Heart of Racing Aston Martin racing team in IMSA and Le Mans, or WC, here in America and Europe. And for those that are newer to our podcast, or even if you've listened a long time, you don't exactly what Paul does. Paul, without getting into the gritty detail, and apart from making sure everyone has a room and hot coffee, tell us a little bit about what you do inside the team.
Oof. Yeah, I'm kind of an all-rounder. It's a grandiose title, really, isn't it? And hard to believe, as goofy as a person I am. But I've been doing this for nearly 5 years now. At this point, I did a lot of stuff before that kind of blended all those little things, and this came to kind of bring in all my experience, I guess. And it's been a great ride. So we started off as a single car team, so it was fairly easy at that point. But now we've got multiple cars in multiple championships, so it's evolved a lot. The complexity is obviously very, very high. I don't do a lot with the European side. I'm always in the know and occasionally get involved, but for the most part I'm in charge of the North American, which is IMSA and SRO actually, which funnily enough are all running at Long Beach this weekend. So we've actually got 3 cars in 2 different series. So this is going to be quite a thing. On Friday
you've got the Valkyrie, the GT3, and the GT4,
and the GT3 in SRO.
Oh, the SRO GT3.
So Gray's driving the SRO. Yeah. So the way Long Beach is, the 2 paddocks, the SRO and the IMSA paddocks, are spread out quite a lot. So, and there's 6 sessions on Friday, 2 practices and 1 qualifying for each series. So I've got one of these things, which is one of the things I do, which is try and figure out what the hell's going to happen and who needs to be where.
Yeah.
Right. There's some of us that have to be involved in both. So one of my big things before each race is organizing the schedule on who's going to be there, what we're going to be doing when, driver debriefs, after the race, what stuff we need for the weekend, make sure everyone's got everything they need to be successful. Also deal with the drivers, obviously, and I'm always in on the briefings just to understand what's going on, what needs to happen, and I'm more of an overview guy. And then, we've got our engineers, we've got our mechanics, we've got our crew chiefs, we've got our coordinators. So I kind of try and pull all that together, have to be aware of what everyone's doing and what troubles or they have, and try and fix them all before they become a big problem, right?
Right.
With the drivers, obviously, my driving experience, we do the track walks, we talk about the track. I get involved with the strategy during the race. And I might do a little clip of what I do. We're at my little station at the race, but during the race, I've kind of got those Toto buttons, on the intercom, so I can talk to everybody, basically. But for the most part, I'm keeping my eye on what the other teams are doing, because the engineers, the drivers, the mechanics are really just focused on their car. So I try to see the big picture on who's doing what. If we think someone's pitting, if we think they're not taking tires, all that kind of stuff, I try to update. And if the strategy is going a certain way that I feel isn't the right way, then I'll be vocal about it, because I've kind of got a bigger picture of what the other teams are doing, because we can listen in on the other teams. I'm also the liaison from the team to the sanctioning body, so be it IMSA or SRO, if there's any penalties, if there's any issues with other teams that we want to bring to to their attention, then I'm kind of the guy. I'm in all the driver manager meetings and all that kind of stuff. I do all the entries. Yeah, it never stops. It's a great ride, but we're also always looking to be better. So one of the things is not just dealing with the moment, but also 2, 3 races down, I can see there's a deficiency here. How can we fix that deficiency? Ordering parts, ordering electronics, ordering, the data stuff that we have to use, and we've gradually, as we've progressed, got more and more sophisticated with our pit box, where we've got intercoms, we've got all kinds of listening devices, all kinds of stuff, and that's all part of overall improvement of the team and make us more prepared and ready. So, yeah, it's a lot. I mean, I'm probably only covering about 50% of it, but
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it is good fun. It's good fun, and literally when the race starts, that's the calming point. Kind of like when you're driving a car, it's like there's a lot of stuff goes on, but once you're in the car and you're belted in, then you're able to fully focus on one thing, and
Yeah.
that's when it really gets fun, as soon as the green flag drops. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, having spent a race weekend with you at Indy,
Yeah.
yeah, that is about 50% of what I saw you do. Because the other 50% was crazy. And it's a logistics nightmare, and it's one thing I meant to ask you at Indy and didn't, but do you manage the sort of communication back and forth with Michelin, or do your engineers manage the Michelin relationship and tire allocation and all that?
Yeah, I deal with that. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And then when we do tests, I order the tires, order the fuel, and
Yeah.
plus, if there's any questions, they usually come through me. Sometimes it gets too technical, on the
Yeah.
on the tire side, and but I know the right people to grab if we need
Yeah.
further deeper stuff. The tires are the controlling factor, as we know in Formula One, so it's an
Yeah.
important part to get your head around. So yeah, definitely involved in that. Also, Bosch have a big part in the IMSA stuff,
Yep.
certainly with electronics and the looms, and IMSA reading what we're doing. So that's also a big communication line during the race weekend.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool. Well, are
Yeah.
you ready?
Controversy.
Are you ready for some controversy, Paul?
I am. I'm ready. Let's
All
do
right.
it. Let's do
All
it.
right. So we got 10 questions for Paul.
Okay.
We're going to throw him into the deep end here. He isn't going to like to answer some of these, but he's a pro and he'll rise above it.
Okay.
All right. Question number 1, Paul. What's one strategy move that you feel like most of the teams or your team is keeping in their back pocket for this weekend?
Well, Long Beach is a very unique track, and because it's not just the track is unique, but also the length of the race. It's 100 minutes. You don't need a full pit stop. You don't have to get a full fuel load. Do you take tires? Do you not take tires? How much fuel do you save? You save fuel or energy nowadays, then that means you're plugged in for less time on the pit lane. So everyone's going through their numbers thinking, when should we pit? Because it's super important when you pit, because track position is everything. Just like we saw in the Formula One race, if you come out of the pit lane ahead, especially at street circuit, you can kind of command the race. And we've found that's a success and failure sometimes. So
Yeah.
it's the pit stop time, when you pit and how long you pit for, is really what all the teams are looking at. Qualifying is super important, but next to that, I would say that is the critical point. Where is that lap that you come in that's going to get you that track position?
Interesting, because my question number 2 kind of dovetails right into that. I was going to ask you, where do you really think you'll gain an edge, in the pit lane or race pace?
Yeah, I think in the pit lane.
Interesting.
And if you can hold race pace while saving energy,
Yeah.
that's the key. You want to stay competitive, stay on, wherever you end up. We don't know where we're going to qualify, right?
Right.
Be great to qualify on pole, because then you literally can, like we see at Monaco, back everybody up, save
Yeah.
fuel,
Yeah.
and you can you're the first one around the hairpin. to take that stop. So you kind of lead that.
And
So,
dictate the pace overall.
yeah. So that's that. I think it's really just how much pace you can keep while still saving enough energy to give you that short pit stop.
Yeah, interesting. So if you're listening, you're going to watch the race then, you pay real close attention to the pit stops. Who's doing what, how long those pit stops are, because they could be the difference.
Yeah, I mean, a driver change may be the longest part of the pit stop.
Yeah.
With the prototype for sure. With the GTs, it's a little easier, but the prototypes, you can't get out of it on your own, pretty much. Quickly. So that you have to have a driver helper on the prototype, and so we've been working hard on trying to get that best because that wasn't necessarily our strong point at Sebring.
Right. Yeah, they were slower. All right, question number 3, Paul. What's the biggest wild card you're watching? Is it weather, rivals, something else?
We're watching, for instance, on track because the weather's pretty consistent there.
Yeah.
Right. So we're looking to if we can see something faster than everybody else. As I said, I've got in front of me, and I'll show it to you in a later. I've got a whole monitor with all the corners on it, and if we can react quick enough and be in the right place at the right time, if there's an incident on track, you can come in and beat the yellow and get out of the line. That's a key. So staying attention to anything that happens on track.
Cool. All right, now question 4 is going to be a curveball for you.
Okay.
Are there any secret upgrades we shouldn't know about yet?
Yes. No. How's that?
It's perfect.
Secret
right.
upgrades. No, I mean, we're different from Formula One in the fact that we homologate so much stuff.
Yeah.
And so we can't come and bring a new rear wing. It's locked in.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why we spent so much time, and one of the reasons why we didn't make Daytona was because it gave us a bigger length of time to be able to get further along in development of the car before we got locked in. There's certain things you can do, but
Paul, as you take the cars out of the box in for the first week and testing and all that, and they're homologated, and I'm assuming it's true for the Valkyrie as much as it is the GT3. But when you take those out of the box, those are homologated. That is the way it is. You're not going to be bringing new underfloors for the Valkyrie or those kind of things. And in that case, as far as in-season development of that car, there's not a lot that happens as far as like Formula One, where they constantly upgrade. Those cars are what they are. So then is it really just for the balance of that season, it's track-specific setups and changes and downforce levels that you're really trying to mastermind over the balance of a season?
Yeah, for sure. And this is a brand new car, the Valkyrie. So more so on the Valkyrie side, that there's still so much to learn.
Yeah.
And so we're definitely developing setups and everything like that. But also, just like Formula One cars, they're very complex.
Yeah.
And there's so much electronics. There's so many things going on in the braking system, in the powertrain, in the traction control. We have traction control to try and massage these things to get the best out of them.
Yeah.
That it's not necessarily revolving the car as in a new rear wing or a front but we're definitely evolving the car in maximizing all the controls and performance in the car.
Right. Okay. So along that line, question number 5 is, how do you really feel the Valkyrie will do at Long Beach Circuit, given the uniqueness of the circuit?
I don't know. I mean, there's no way of telling. I mean, Sebring was that was our first race. It was probably the worst race you want to debut because it's such a hard circuit. It's so long. It's so bumpy. You get your head around. We don't know. I think we're going to be decent. My hope is, our goal is to gradually get further and further up the grid as we evolve. We're up against Penske. We're up against factory teams from BMW.
Tough.
It's not easy to make big leaps. But I think, Roman's really good there. Ross is really good there. So I think the drivers have a good idea of how to get around there well. We just got to supply them with a car, but there's just no way of telling.
Yeah. All right. Question number 6, Paul. What's the stat or data point you're obsessed with heading into this race?
Well, it's not tire wear, this one. But there's a stat. I mean, because you got to figure out what's the best. Do you go for new tires, or if you can get the tires done in the right amount of time, or do you not? In laps, out laps. I
Yeah.
think in laps, out laps is a big stat that we need to focus on, because that
Interesting.
can, if you want to leapfrog someone or you undercut them, you got to get that down. And so from lap one, practice one, the drivers need to get their head around getting the car out, getting around that first lap before the tires are perfect in as quick a time as they can.
Is the undercut pretty strong at Long Beach?
It is. Yeah, it is. So, but then, as I said, some people have done it without changing tires, and that definitely gives you a performance advantage on the outlap, right? You're not waiting for those tires to come in, and you can. But it just depends where you are in traffic, and where the other traffic is.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Question number 7, Paul. What's the one thing in prep that kept you up at night this week as you were prepping? Was it canceled rooms, no green M&Ms? What was it? What's the one thing in
Honestly,
prep?
it was the schedule, trying to balance between having two different teams technically running on the same weekend and trying to figure out where I and other people have to be. You can't stretch people too far. And, I've told Phil, the engineer, because he's engineering the GT3 car on IMSA and in SRO. And I just said, well, just get one of those tents that people like to use in LA and just stay there, because you're not leaving pit lane for the whole of Friday.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So coming up with the rota or the rotation plan.
Yeah,
of
I
where
mean- I
people
mean-
goes. And
Yeah, I mean, stress points, you need the right people
Yeah.
in the right place for meetings, for keeping an eye.
Right.
I mean, yeah, it's people are everything, and
Yeah.
you've got to have the right people at the right time to extract the best out of a car. It's not just about numbers.
So question number 8 could be different for each series, right? It could be different for each car.
Mm-hmm.
But what's the goal? Is it this weekend? Is it podiums, points, or are you playing the long game?
Long game for sure.
Long game.
Long
Yeah.
game for sure. I mean, I know, if it's the V12 is amazing. It's
It
going to
is.
sound great between the walls of
Oh,
Long
man.
Beach.
Yeah.
And everyone wants, well, at least people that are a fan of the car anyway, want to see it right up front. But,
Yeah.
expectations need to be measured, because we're a new kid on the block, and the other teams have been running for 3 years. So,
Yeah. And for the Valkyrie, you had a top 10, right?
yeah,
So you had top 10 out of Sebring, and you'd like to work your way to top 5.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
Let's see. Question number 9. Who's the dark horse team that's on your radar this weekend?
For the prototype,
Yeah, either the prototype or the GT.
Dark Horse team on the prototype says the BMW.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they've won a race, but they're coming. So I think that
And they got the K-Mag.
they're angry, and they got the K-Mag. Yeah. So yes, I think they're the Dark Horse team in prototypes. They're the team that probably need the success more, because they've been around long enough. So
Yeah.
in GT, there's Dark Horse, probably the Ferrari, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah.
They've got a decent BOP, I would say.
And just for those people that might be new to IMSA, what Ferraris are they running?
I don't know the
I
numero.
can't remember.
Yeah,
I can't remember either.
I don't know. It's three numbers in a row. It's hard to keep track.
It's not a 488. I know that.
No, it's not 488. No.
Yeah, I
mean,
can't remember.
I
You're IMSA
I
fans?
pay attention to my competition, but not to those levels.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay. And then the final question, Paul. If things go sideways, what's your plan B, and is there a plan C?
Well, I throw my headphones down and I storm
Like
off.
Toto?
Yeah.
Mikey, no.
And I grab the cooler and I turn it upside down.
You go.
Well, it depends what's going upside. Well, I mean, it's a short race. If things go pear-shaped, you pretty much just shut your book and walk away, right?
Yeah, right.
It's different on the longer races where you got to you still got to scrap away at it.
I would imagine, Paul, in a short race like that, if things go a little sideways, then you go into kind of just damage limitation mode.
Yeah.
Trying to protect whatever track position you've got, whatever advantage you've got, and you go into damage limitation.
Yeah, because when you, with one pit stop, it's over once the pit stop's up. Then it's up to the driver, right? When you've got 2 or 3 pit stops in the race, you can configure a strategy that will give you a chance to somehow get back.
Right. Right.
With the Valkyrie, obviously, any lap is a good lap for data. Even if we went a lap down, it's okay. We would just, keep plugging away and try and understand the car more and more and more.
Yeah, a little different at Sebring or Petite or whatever, where there probably is a plan A, B, and C.
Right. But Long Beach, anything can happen. So those walls are very close. So you never give up. That's for sure.
Right.
Never give up.
Right. Excellent. All right. And then remind us, Paul, so on Thursday, it is track walk, a lot of prep work for that race. Mm-hmm. And then Friday, as you mentioned, you have all of those sessions. You have all the practice sessions and qualifying for all 3 cars, all jammed in one day. Right?
All jammed in one day, yeah.
Crazy.
Because obviously IndyCar run the same weekend.
Yeah.
So they get the majority of the track on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
There's also an exhibition race. Old F1 cars come out there. That's always
cool.
fun. Yeah, so you do it. Not just the V12 in the Valkyrie will be screaming around. There'll also be some Formula One V8s and all that kind of good stuff as well.
They better not show up with a Hesketh, or you're going to steal it.
Yeah, I'll just jump right in. Get out of my way.
Yeah, right. I got my James Hunt helmet. Yeah. That's cool. And then all 3 races on Saturday.
Actually, no. So we've got our races. Let me look at my schedule.
Yeah, you've got it.
I've got it here.
On your road.
Yeah. We've got, so our race is at around 2 on Saturday. Then the first SRO race is at the end of the day at 5. And then at lunchtime on Sunday is the second SRO race.
Oh, okay.
Because that's a sprint race. That's no pit stops. That's like a 40-minute race.
Gotcha. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, excellent. Awesome. All right, so this weekend, Paul's going to be sending some videos, and we'll post them over the weekend. This should be a lot of fun, and I love IMSA. Obviously, Paul does because he's in it. He's good buddies with Bo.
I am, yeah, and John Doonan,
yeah.
I mean, about my first pro race was in IMSA in 1989. Can you imagine?
No,
I was so happy. I was like, I'm finally in pro.
I made it.
Yeah. Just 1 year after I first raced a car properly, but it was great stuff. So I've been, through my whole life, I've been involved with IMSA. So,
and see, that's where, and people may not know this, but that's, Paul knows Zach Brown pretty well. Mm-hmm. And they were, in the nascent years of their driving careers, they were hanging out together. Right. You and Calvin, Calvin, right? Fish and Ian
Brian
James,
Till,
your boss.
Ian James.
Brian Till, you and the young Ian James.
Mr. Diffie, I think he'll be. Will he be there? No, he's doing NASCAR now, isn't he?
Yeah, he's doing NASCAR. Yeah.
Will be there.
Yeah.
Will Buxton.
Yeah, Will be there. You have to bump in. And so people always ask me, is Paul, now that have some F1 people into this series, like K-Mags and stuff like that. Oh, is Paul, excited to meet K-Mags? It's like, no, Paul's running a team.
We're trying to beat those guys. Yeah.
We're trying to beat them. They're competitors. And Paul isn't that much big of a fanboy kind of thing, Yeah. He's got his own drivers. Which one of your drivers' mindset is on fire right now?
On fire, as in fully Ross.
Yeah. Ross? Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Ross is a good driver.
He's a very good driver.
Yeah, he is.
Roman he's always on it. He's been with the team since the very beginning, so it's exciting to see him up there. Him and Ross drove together a couple of years ago. It was a great partnership, and this is the same. So awesome. That's
so cool. All right. Well, that does it. We will come back over the weekend with some more content. I hope you enjoyed this rapid fire Paul Hangs 10 and 10, and we'll stay in touch. So until later this weekend, this is Todd, aka Negative Camera, saying so long.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.